Welcome to the last part of this tutorial series about the Oculus Interaction SDK. Hope you guys enjoyed the ride till here. So in the previous video, we learned how to interact with both controller and hand tracking, but for now, when using the controller, we were showing the actual controller and not an animated hand, which is not that immersive and was making it impossible to use some cool interaction like holding this mug with custom pose. But what if I told you that there was a way to fix this and show the hands in all cases? And this is what we are going to see today. So without further ado, let's get started. But don't forget to subscribe, and as always, the source code is available on my Patreon where you can support this channel. Okay, so we are back where we were at the end of last episode. So to be able to use hand even when we use controller, we are going to change the source of hand to be not the hand tracking, but a hand that we can animate with the controller button. This way, all of the interactors that we have will stay exactly the same and only the source of input will be different. To do so, let's go to our input OVR game object. We can disable the controllers and instead duplicate the hands. We can rename it hand controllers. So we don't need here the OVR skeleton and the refresh rate on that game object, so we can remove it. And now if we go to our first hand, we have here the OVR hand data source, which is where the movement of our hands with hand tracking are taken into account to grab and interact with the other object. So in our case, we can remove everything on that game object, and same goes for the other hand, by the way. But instead, let's select both our hand and add a OVR controller hand data source. And this will be the important component that will transform the controller input to a hand tracking input source that we can rely on. And so let's focus on the left hand and we will do the right one afterwards. So we can drag the input OVR in both the OVR camera rig reference and the tracking world transformer. Then drag the HMD in the HMD data. Now, depending on what version you have of the Oculus integration, this component is either on the parent here or on a separate game object under the input OVR. Next, for the handedness, it's already set up to left hand, which is what we want, so I will leave it like this. But now we have this big list of bone to set up. And so to use this, we are going to search in the project folder for Oculus and L. We can drag it as a child of the hand data source. Perfect. Now the next step will be to set up this hand and make it animated by the controller so that it will trigger the hand tracking interaction the way we want. And to do so, first thing first, we can disable the mesh renderer of the hand. We only want the bone data. Then on the animator, we can choose the animator hand controller L. Now, as you can see, this is a simple animator that uses two values, pinch and flex, to animate the hands. I think the animation are good, but if you wanted, you could tweak them here as you want and even create some custom animation on top of this. But I will keep things simple in my case and leave this like this. So important here, you need to set the culling mode to always animate. This will make sure that the hand is always animated even when they are not on screen. And then to trigger an animation with an input, we can add the animated and OVR component. Perfect. Make sure that the controller is set to left touch and we can drag our animator over there. Perfect. Okay guys, so our hand is ready. What's left is to reference the bones of this hand in the OVR controller and data source, and this is extremely precise, so make sure to follow exactly what I'm going to do here. So first, select the hand data. Click on the lock icon here to lock the inspector window, and now press on the Alt key and click on the drop icon here to display all of the children of the hands. And I'm going to first drag the wrist and the forearm in the list, and then we're going to add one by one each finger, starting by the thumb, then the index, the middle, the ring finger, and finally the pinky. So at this state, you should have 19 elements at the moment in the list, and the 5 last elements are the tip marker for each finger in the same order that we did earlier. So the thumb, the index, the middle finger, the ring finger, and the pinky. Okay, perfect. Everything is now down. Now that we have finished the setup of the end source, what's left for us to do is to reference it in the end parameter for its parent. So let's go to the end component on the left end and drag the end data source on both the update after and on the modify data source parameter. And here we go. Now we have finished the setup for one hand, so you already know what we can do next. Let's do all of this again, but for the right hand. There you go, everything is now ready for both ends, so let's click on play to try this. At this state, if you are not able to see your ends, you can go to the end data source and here set update mode to late update. And normally this will fix this. But as a reminder, if you have any issue with this tutorial, you can have a look at the comment section below where I will post the solution to any problem that I found. And there you go. Now, as you can see, it works. I can animate my ends and even I have the ray working as well as the poke interaction already. But we have two issues. First, the position of the hand is not good, and then the grabbing is not working either. So let's leave play mode and fix these issues. Okay, now by the way, now that we have hands that we can animate, we don't need the OVR controller to show, so we can go here under the OVR camera rig, select both the OVR controller prefab that we have and disable it. This way, only the hands that we just made will be shown. So for the first problem, we can fix it in the end source component. Now we can give a certain offset value for position and rotation, but to save you some time, I've already searched for the perfect value to use, which are 0.04, minus 0.04, minus 0.11, and for the rotation 90, 90, 0. And now we can do this for the both hands. And if we click on play, as you can see, it works. Our hands are in the good position and rotation now. Perfect. And now for the second issues, we need to go to our grab interactor and on the end grab API, add a finger row pinch injector component. We can drag the grab API inside. There you go. And as always, don't forget to do this for both hands. And now, once and for all, let's try our game. And there it is, guys. Everything still works like before when we were using the controller, but this time we can see our hand every time, and this is especially cool when grabbing here this mug that now has hand pose for both controller and hand tracking. How cool is that? I hope that you enjoy watching this video. So as I talked about in the intro, this might be unfortunately the last part of this tutorial series about the Oculus Interaction SDK, but if you want me to cover anything next, leave a comment below and it will be a pleasure for me to give it a go in a future video. So as always, don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video. You will find the source code of this project as well as some exclusive content like this tutorial about special anchors on my Patreon, link in the description below. Now thank you for watching and see you soon. Bye bye.